morning. I'm Kurt Bowman and welcome back to Yoga for Old Guys. Today is a cooler June morning here in Fargo, North Dakota, but I really like being outside in the summertime and practicing yoga in the outdoors versus in the stuffy house. So that's what we're going to do this morning. Today we are going to start from a cold start. Haven't warmed up before, and we're going to go through a warm-up and then a strong yoga flow to really get the body warmed up and push the body a little bit. So it might be a little longer session today, probably about 45 minutes or so, but who's counting? We're going to have a good workout together. So let's get started from a standing position. Get the shoulders up, back, and down, and just squeeze the shoulder blades together. Just focus on opening up the shoulders. I think we walk around too much with rounded shoulders. I know I do. Just squeeze them together and open up those shoulders, palms to the facing forward in the supine position. Arms up to cactus, squeezing the blades together again, and just come into a slight baby back bend, cactus arms. Squeeze them together and come on back down. We're going to jump right into, we're going to wait a couple minutes on balance. Rather than go right to the floor trying to touch your toes, bend your knees as deeply as you need to, letting the fingertips touch down on the floor. Go ahead and let your head and neck hang just a little bit, and start to straighten your legs to the point you feel the resistance. The quads and the glutes saying, wait a minute, I'm not warmed up here. When you feel that, stop. Go ahead and let your legs shake if they are, testing the muscles. If you're a lifter or runner, you're probably going to experience that shaking sooner than later in terms of getting straight. And we're going to see how we progress over the few minutes and just warming up. Roll up to standing. Shoulders up, back, and down. Arms overhead. Come down, knees bent, knees bent. Touch the ground. Start to straighten the legs. Roll up to standing. One more time, shoulders back and down, palms out. Arms up overhead, knees bent, fingers to the ground. Straighten them just a little bit. And come down to the mat. All fours. Go ahead and drop the pelvis. Bring the head and neck up into a cow. Breathe in deeply through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils and roll into cat. Bringing the lumbar up. Torso up. Let the neck and head hang. Push your shoulder blades away from the floor. Roll back into cat or into cow. Push exhaling up to cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Come into a neutral all fours. Curl your toes under. Push back into downward facing dog. Just gently roll out your heels. Pedal the heels a little bit, stretching out the calves. Come into high plank and just gently push your toes back and gently drop your hips. Don't jam up your lower spine, just drop your hips a little bit, coming into upward facing dog. Inhale, push back into downward facing dog. Pedal out the heels. High plank, toes back, drop your hips into upward facing dog. Push back into downward facing dog. Come into high plank. Let's come into seated. Roll to your back, knees up. Take your right ankle over your left knee. Pull back on your left thigh. And when you're pulling back, push your right thigh forward with your right elbow. This is reclined pigeon. I think pigeon for me is one of the best hip openers that I've ever done. This is the reclined version, a little easier on the joints. But you've heard me say it many times before, and maybe your chiropractor or massage therapist has told you, if you loosen up your lower back or loosen up your hips, your lower back will stop being as tight and hurting. Drop down and switch. Left ankle over right knee. Pull back on the right thigh. And push your left thigh away from your body with your left elbow. Feel that open up. Feel that in the left hip, left glute. Drop them down, switch back. Right ankle over left knee. Push the right thigh away. Come on back down. Left ankle over right knee. Pull back. And push your left thigh away from you with your left elbow. Drop your knees down. Come up. Bring your knees up to your chest. Bring your chest up to your knees. Come into a ball. Bring your forehead up to your knees. Come up to seated. Bring first the sole of your left foot right up into your, let's bring it back. Bring your left heel back to under your right leg, back to your right thigh. Bring your right leg up. and twist to the right. Opening up with your chest. Don't just twist with your eyes. Twist with your chest, open it up. And switch, legs out in front of you. Bring your right heel under the left thigh. Point the right knee forward. Bring the left knee up. And just twist to the left. In this twist right here, I can feel a gentle pull, a nice pull in both hips. Open up the chest, and come back into seated. Come up to standing, and let's test that flexibility now in the legs. Arms overhead. Come down into a forward fold. Still bend your knees. Let your fingers touch the floor or your big toes. And now straighten your legs as much as you're able. Are you finding more flexibility? I hope so. Let your head hang, neck. Come up into halfway lifted, straight back, forward fold, and roll up to standing. It's a good warm-up. I hope you found more flexibility in the legs. You're feeling a little bit more open in the hips. We're going to do a little bit more as we go forward. Okay. Let's come into standing. Take and ground well into your feet. Get all four corners of your feet ground into the surface. Get the sleep out of your eyes. And shoulders up, back and down. Ground into your left foot first. And just kickstand your right toes and bring your right foot out in front of you 6 inches or so, balancing on your left foot. We're going to engage those legs right away after the warm-up. Right knee up in front of you, 90 degrees. Oh, balance is off today a little bit. Right foot behind you. Right foot in front of you. Bring your hands to a position. Maybe it's for buoyancy, for balance. Try and stay as straight as you're able and come back down. Ground into the right foot, kickstand the left toes, and bring that left foot out in front of you 6 inches. If you saw my warm-up video, it's about 12 or 13 minutes, much of the same warm-up that we just did. I talked about doing a balance throughout the day. Just go, bring your knee up in front of you, 90 degrees. You're standing around the office. You're in the shop, on the shop floor. Ooh. Take a few seconds, even with your shoes on, to balance on one foot. It's a good core engager. Left toes behind you. Wow, my right is really off today. It's a good core engager, and it's just a little strengthening exercise. for your legs and hips. Okay, both feet down. We're going to come back to balance later on too. I'm off today. Come to the top of your mat. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Inhale again. Exhale. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg, three-legged dog. Right knee, right elbow. Three-legged. Right knee, left elbow. Three-legged. Right knee to chest. Three-legged. Bring the right foot forward, up by your right thumb. Drop the back foot and come into warrior one. Keep a bend in that right knee. Back leg is straight. Strengthen. Pivot into warrior two. Right arm is in front of you. Back is, your arms are straight. I like to turn my back hand up to open up my shoulder. Drop the back hand. Come into a back bend. Drop the right elbow to the right knee. Come into side angle. Get the back, neck against that proverbial wall. Warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Tick-tock or bend at the waist. Come down into triangle. You don't need to come into the floor. The whole idea is to open up, don't scrunch forward. Warrior two. Windmill your arms to the ground, hands to the ground. Come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your feet up to the front of your mat. Forward fold. Head and neck down. And roll up to standing. Tuck this hood. I think this is going to come off in a minute. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Flat back, forward fold. Come into high plank. Lower slowly into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left-legged, three-legged dog. Left foot forward. Drop your back leg, come into warrior one. Inhale, twist into or pivot into warrior two. Open up the chest. Look forward over your front fingers. Drop your back hand. Reverse warrior. Warrior two. Bring your front elbow down. Come into side angle. If you can see yourself in a mirror or a window, or you drawn a line from your back heel up through your right fingers, get the back head against that proverbial back wall. Come into warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Pivot forward at the waist. Come into triangle. Don't go to the floor, so you scrunch up like this. Back and neck against that wall. Doesn't matter how low you bring your front hand. Come into warrior two. Windmill your hands to the floor. Come into high plank. Now when we go into chaturanga now, make sure you keep your elbows close to your body. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Forward fold. Let your head and neck hang. Roll up into standing. Time for a wardrobe adjusted for me. It's a good sign the body is warming up. Hope it is for you as well. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Let your neck and head hang. Drop your fingers down. Walk your hands out in front of you to high plank. Just come into put your toes back, drop down into upward facing dog. Back up into a high plank. More technical adjustments here. Sorry about that. Come into high plank. Walk your feet now up to the front of your mat, and you're now into a forward fold. Technical adjustment. Okay. Take an inhale in. Shoulders up, back and down. Open the palm supine. Let's run through that sequence again. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg, three-legged dog. Right foot forward. Drop your back foot, come into warrior one. Inhale, drop, pivot into warrior two. Adjust your back foot. Drop your back hand, reverse warrior. Elbow down, come into side angle. Warrior 2, straighten the front leg. Pivot at the waist, drop down into triangle. Remember, back straight, don't crunch forward. Come into Warrior 2. Windmill the hands to the ground. And adjust your microphone. Come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look between your hands and walk or jump. Feet to the front of the mat, forward fold. Halfway lifted, forward fold, and roll into standing. Shoulders up, back, and down. Take a breath in through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg, three-legged dog. Left foot forward. Drop the right foot. Come into Warrior 1. Inhale, Warrior 2. Drop the back hand, reverse warrior. Warrior 2. Right elbow down, side angle. Warrior 2. Straighten the front leg. Pivot at the waist. Triangle. This 6-mile-an-hour wind is really throwing me today. Come into Warrior 2. Windmill the hands to the ground. High plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward, front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lifted. Exhale, forward fold. Roll up to standing. Shoulders up, back, and down. And palms forward. Take a breath in. Exhale through the nose. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Come into high plank and push right back into downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg, three-legged dog. Right foot forward. Keep your back heel up. You're on your back left toes and come into crescent lunge, arms up in front of you. Drop the pelvis in and down. Work that front leg. If you're able, hook your left elbow over your right knee and come into a prayer twist to the right. Open up that shoulder. Drop the back elbow. Come back into crescent. Hands to the mat. High plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg, three-legged dog. Left foot forward. Keep your back heel up. Come into crescent lunge. Arms forward and up. Drop your pelvis down. Hook your right elbow, left knee, and come into a prayer twist to the left. Back into crescent lunge. Hands to the mat. High plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Let your head and neck drop in. Downward facing dog. Knees to the mat. Push back into child's pose. Walk your fingers away from the body in front. Don't hold your head up, let it drop. Focus on pushing your glutes down as low as you're able, stretching out that lower back. Come up into all fours. Neutral tabletop. Curl the toes under. Push back into downward facing dog. Walk your feet up to your hands. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Forward fold. And roll up to standing. Hands at the hips and bring your right foot out about 3-4 feet. Toes pointed forward, legs wide. And just bend forward at the hip. Let your head hang. Drop your fingers down to the mat. Inch your legs a little wider. Take your left toes, turn them out just a few inches maybe, and bend your left knee and come straight with your right leg. Don't jam it up, don't tear your groin apart. Just bend a little bit in the left, straighten the right, come back up to center. Turn the toes, right toes out a little bit, bend the right knee, and just lean over to your right slightly. Left leg straight, stretch it out. Come back into center. Repeat on the left, bend the left knee. Lean into the left, stretch it out to the right, come back into center, bend the right knee, stretch the left, come back into center, let your head hang, walk your fingers behind you a little bit. If you're able, turn your palms flat to the mat, thumbs pointing to your feet. Let your head and neck hang. Open up that back, the blades, hands to the hip. Come up into standing, step into feet center. Let's go to balance again. Ground into your left foot. Kickstand your heel, your toes and your heel. Put your heel against your left shin. And now we're going to go into tree. Idea is to get your sole of your foot against your shin, or if you can pull it up into your left thigh, better yet. But don't place it against your left knee at all. Don't push your knee to the side. Go ahead and come into tree. Get your right knee as perpendicular as you're able. Turn your right knee forward. Bring your right knee up 90 degrees. And come back down. Ground into your right foot. Kickstand your left toes. And into tree. Whatever on the other side, whether the heel is up into your groin or against your calf. I can hold the heel in the groin area for just a second or two. So I just, whole idea is get the balance, work on the balance, strength. Boy, my right is bad today. Whew. And come on down. Walk them out. Let's ground back into the left again. We're going to do, it's called eagle. Now, when we get to the hands portion of eagle, first we're going to bring the right leg over the left, get the right thigh over the left, and ideally you would be able to twist your right ankle around your left calf. I'm not ideal, you figured that out by now. When we get into the hands portion, you would bring your right under your left, twist them around, and be able to hold them in front of you. If you have tight shoulders, doing a lot of weights, you're just old, whatever the deal, we're going to bring that right under the left, straighten out the left arm, and just hold it in this position. So ground into your left foot, bring your right thigh up and over, just kickstand for a moment, right arm under, left arm straight, and now trying to sit into a chair position, come down as low as you're able. Again, the idea is balance here. The arm part just adds an element to it. Try and keep your back as straight as you're able. Try not to curl up forward. and come back up into standing. Pedal it out, ground into your right foot, kickstand your left toes, bring your left over, and left arm under and up, right arm straight. And if you can bring your hands into the proper expression of eagle, that's great. My shoulders, arms just are too many years, or a lot of years of weights. Which I'll do again tomorrow. And come into standing. Okay. If you'd like, take a drink. Come down to the mat. Go into all fours. Neutral spine. Left heel out into bird dog. You're able, right arm out in front of you. Keep the neck, head straight. Engage the left glute. Point the right fingers as far away from the left heel as you're able. Push them apart. Bring them out to the side. Come on back. Right elbow, left knee. Push it back out into bird dog. Right elbow again. Push it back. Right elbow again. Push them apart. And come down into neutral. Right heel out. Right leg out. Left arm out. To the side. Raise that heel up a little bit, arm. Come back out to the side. Left elbow, right knee. Straight out. Again. Straight out. Third time. Push them apart. And all fours. Come into downward facing dog. Let's do a right leg, three-legged dog. Bring your right knee up to your right wrist. We're going to do pigeon. We started with a reclined pigeon. Bring your right heel as far forward as you're able, but don't jam that knee. Ideally, you're 90 degrees, your foot and your right leg. If this is where you're at today on pigeon, whole idea is to drop the pelvis to the ground. But if you can come down onto your forearms or forehead to the mat, just go down as low as you're able. Relax the back foot and drop your pelvis straight to the floor. Don't roll your hip to the right or to the left. Just come straight down and feel it loosen up. Again, I said that for me this is the best hip opener I can have. Walk your fingers up. Come back up. You're still in pigeon, but you're high. Curl your back toes under. Come into right leg, three-legged dog, and shake that leg out. Downward facing dog. left leg, three-legged dog. Left knee up by the left hand. Bring that left foot forward. Get square. Drop your pelvis. And come into the same position that you were on the right side. If that's just fingers touching the mat, elbows, forehead, whatever it was. Drop the pelvis straight down, relax the back foot. Come back up. One last core strengthener. Let's come into a plank position. Traditional plank, forearms down. Bring your shoulders over your elbows. Straight back, straight neck. Don't bring your glutes up. Don't let your back sink. Get everything as straight as you're able. And let's go for, I'm watching the clock. All right, let's start. Keep everything straight. Focus on engaging the glutes. Raise your right toes off the floor an inch. Engage. Down. Switch, left toes up an inch or two. Engage the glutes. Are you sinking? Switch right up. Switch left up. And come down. Come back into seated. Let's do that stretch again. Bring your right heel under your left thigh. Right knee is pointed forward. Bring your left heel back. Pull your left knee up as high as you're able. Hook your right arm by your left knee and twist to the left. Come back to center. Now just lean a little bit forward over that left knee. For some, maybe you're able to come right to the floor. Go ahead and push that left knee and thigh down gently. Don't jam it up. Keep pushing down, but sit up straight. Get those pins on the hips open and come into seated again. Left heel under the left thigh. Left leg and knee is pointed forward. Bringing your right knee up to your chest as tightly as you're able. Hook your left hand, left arm, left elbow, right knee, and twist to the right. Come back to center, right knee is still up, and go ahead and lean forward into that right knee. If you want to let it drop a little bit, that's great. Just so you start to feel some opening on the hips. Push down on the right knee, come up into seated, straight back. feel a little more pull, especially in the left pin. Again, don't jam up your joints. And come into seated. Okay, we had about 12 or 15 minutes of warm-up and another 30 or so of yoga flow. I hope you gained from today's workout. I know I did. Again, the whole idea every day is to work on some balance and some flexibility, and if you're able to strengthen any part of your body, but engage as much as you can in various strengthening exercises, that's just the whole idea. There's nothing real fancy about it. Again, I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I hope that you have a great day. To you I say, namaste.